What's growing on, gardeners? I am so excited to make today's video because it is a video that is over 3 years in the making. I have my biggest ever update to my fig tree breeding experiment. Things are finally starting to bear fruit, literally, and I can't wait to show you what has just happened.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom apparel and gear.
It is hard to believe, but it has been over 3 years since I began what I believe is the first of its kind live, actively documented fig breeding experiment on the internet. For long-term viewers of my channel, this is a video that you have been waiting years for. But if you are a newer viewer to my channel, please check out the playlist that I will link above and down below in the video description. It has all of the videos that I've made in the series from the very beginning. Now, since I began this experiment, many people have asked me how long does it take for a female fig tree to reach sexual maturity when grown from seed? And up until this point, that question hasn't been answerable because that information is just not readily available out there, at least that I could find. But now that I've run this experiment for a number of years, a clearer picture is beginning to emerge. Up until this point, I had one fig tree that actually set and ripened its fruit its very first year after being grown from seed, but that was clearly an outlier. The second year, I had another fig tree do it, but again, that is another outlier. Now that we are more than 3 years into this project, I'm finally starting to see an explosion of fig trees produce fruit. In total, I am growing 42 fig trees from seed as part of this breeding experiment, and I am seeing a substantial number of them set figs this year. I would say probably about 1/3 to 40%. So while it does appear that the majority of figs will take more than 3 years in order to set fruit, a significant amount of early bloomers will produce by year 3. So again, it looks like at least 4 years is going to be the median, but it is really impressive to see just how many figs are actively setting fruit after only the 3rd year. Now, when I made my initial video on fig breeding theory, based on the information I could find at the time, I hypothesized that when you cross a persistent female fig with a persistent male fig, all of the offspring must be heterozygous. So that means that any seeds that form must carry the genetic allele for persistence, and all of the other offspring would be egg lethal and not form embryos. So basically what that would mean is that all of the fig tree seedlings that you get when you cross a persistent female with a persistent male will carry the genetic mutation for Parthenocarpic. Now, I realize that sounds very confusing, and again, I invite you to watch the video above which explains all of this to you, but the 1,000-foot view of it is that figs in their native habitat require a little tiny insect called the fig wasp in order to pollinate, and they are not native to the United States. So the only figs that we can successfully grow here in the United States, outside of little pockets of California where they established the fig wasp back in the 1800s, they must carry a Parthenocarpic genetic mutation. So they have to hold fruit without pollination. So for that reason, I couldn't breed any figs that are caducus or Smyrna and require pollination because I wouldn't be able to actually raise those figs for fruit. Now, initially there was some pushback in the fig community and thought that I had gotten that wrong and that it would be possible to have both caducus and persistent females, but I don't think that is the case because of the 5 fig trees that have ripened fruit for me, all 5 have been female and all 5 of them have carried the genetic mutation for persistence. So while it is mathematically possible to flip a coin and wind up on heads 5 times in a row, it's extremely improbable. So to get only 5 figs fruit on me and have them all be persistent, well, that means to me that it is true and all of the caducus embryos did abort. So when you cross those 2 types of figs, you will only get Parthenocarpic males and females. Now, what I can't explain why is that I'm 5 for 5 on female figs as well. I have not gotten any male figs, and the only thing I can justify in my mind why that is possible is because maybe fig trees are a lot like humans in the way that human females mature sexually well before human males on average. So it could just be that the earliest bloomers of the lot just tend to be girls. I can't really explain it any other way than that. In fact, I'm a little bit annoyed because if I had male figs, I could get rid of the trees, and it's just brutal maintaining 40 32 different seedlings. I was hoping I'd get some males so I could just junk them because I just don't need them. Now the 2 fig trees you see right here are the figs from years past that I was previously able to taste test because they ripened so early. And I labeled them both PF for Parthenocarpic female. The first fig that ever ripened for me is a cross between the Saleeb caprifig and Sangue de Drago Rosso. That is this tree right here. Then I had one that was crossed with Del San Juan Migrant, ripened for me last year, and that taste test was absolutely fantastic. Again, you can consult my fig tree breeding playlist to see those taste test videos over the years. Then I have one here that I crossed Meteorito with, and this is a very interesting development because Meteorito is actually caducous and requires pollination. So it's looking like I may have created a Parthenocarpic variety of Meteorito because it looks just like a Meteorito fig. That would be huge news if that is the case. Now these 2 figs right here are both crossed with Del San Juan Migrant, which is very interesting because Del San Juan Migrant is a super late season fig, yet for whatever reason it seems to promote precociousness. So both of these have ripe figs on them, and I'm going to actually taste test all 3 of these. Unfortunately for me, this one looks a little overripe, this one's underripe, and a pest got the other fig that was pretty much perfectly ripe last night. Then we have one right here. And a lot of these figs are going to have a tendency to be green figs because the parent, father, is a large green fig, and most of the mother figs I chose are also green. So just to be clear, we are not yet at the part in the experiment where we determine what is the best quality fruiting female fig. We're nowhere near that yet. Right now we're just trying to determine what is a female fig and what is a male fig, and if it's a female, is it Parthenocarpic? I need to whittle my collection down so I can maintain these trees and get them into larger pots because they are just not old enough yet to put out high quality fruit, and judging them right now would be premature. So first we're going to start with this fruit right here, which is a cross between the Del San Juan Migrant and the Saleeb fig. And unfortunately this fig right here, it looks like I let it go just a little bit too long. Now what's funny is this is a golden interior fig, despite the fact that your Del San Juan Migrant is a deep red interior fig. So that goes to show you how genetics can change and that they're basically unstable. So you can have a mother and father that are red interior give you a golden fig. So I cut out that little bad spot, and let's give this a taste test. Oh, that is really good. There is not a lot of complex flavors there. That is just a really, really sweet honey fig. That is absolutely delicious. It looks so bland and boring, but I'm happy to report this is really great. Ooh, solid performer. Now let's test the other cross between Del San Juan Migrant. And this one, I really love the way it looks. It is heavy, it is dense, it feels perfectly ripe, despite the fact we've been getting hammered by rain. And I don't know what the interior color is going to be. I think this one's going to be a red interior fig. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, and I am correct. I just had a feeling. It just looks like a Del San Juan Migrant. It looks just like its mom. So again, we've had terrible weather for ripening figs. It's been raining every day, but I'm still going to give this a shot. That tastes almost exactly like a Smith fig, which is like a strawberry jam, except it is a whole lot larger. Oh, that is fantastic. I can't believe that this little bitty fig breeding experiment is turning out figs of this quality. This is phenomenal. Now here's the part of the video that is just going to break my heart. This Meteorito offspring fig is not ready yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a few more days. I'm even going to bring this inside my sunroom. I'm going to see if I can protect it from the rain and see if I can taste test this on camera maybe 2 or 3 days from now, or whenever it actually ripens properly. If I'm successful in properly ripening that Meteorito fig, I will cut in again with another taste test, and then if any of my other figs start to show the signs of swelling and maturing, then I will make sure to catch that on camera as well. It's July 27th, and ladies and gentlemen, what is happening right now is completely blowing my mind. On this table right here, you will see 6 new figs that have started ripening on me since I began filming the first segment of this video. The 4 down there are the figs that I have already taste tested either earlier on this video or in previous years, so they we know are good to go. But these are 6 brand new entries for a total of 10 figs that are ripening and certainly are Parthenocarpic female varieties. So of the 6 new figs, we have a Del San Juan Gran cross that you see starting to ripen right there. You have 2 Meteorito figs, so this is one of the first Meteorito crosses up there. That is still pretty hard and a few days away. This was the Meteorito fig cross that I was showing you earlier in the video. It has since dropped off, so it should be ready to go, and we can give that a little bit of a taste test. Over here we have another Del San Juan Gran fig cross that is beginning to swell. Over here we have our very first Col de Dame Gigantina fig that has begun the swelling process, and I'm not going to be able to taste test that right now, unfortunately. And then we also have our first ever White Madeira #1 cross that is swelling multiple figs, and they are looking pretty ugly, so hopefully that is good for us. So I'm going to pick up where I left off and taste test that Meteorito cross, but before I do that, I want to show you the mother tree. This tree right here is my Meteorito mother fig tree, and this was a wild seedling that was discovered growing in California. Now at first glance, you would think that this was a common fig because the figs are softening and changing color, almost like they're ripening, but it actually is not. When you pick these figs, they will not ripen completely. They will drop before they ripen properly. And when you cut these open, for a second there, you may think that that is a common fig, but when you actually bite into it, it tastes horrible. It tastes like latex sap. It never ripens properly. Ugh. So I had to spit that fig out. It unfortunately is inedible unless you pollinate it. Now in previous years, I have manually hand pollinated that tree, and when you actually do that, you get incredible figs. Big, swollen, delicious, rich figs. This is a top tier fig when it is properly pollinated, but again, that's a big pain. Nobody really wants to have to do that. So the reason why I selected Meteorito as one of the mother trees to cross is because I was trying to develop a Parthenocarpic variety of Meteorito. I thought if I crossed it, I would get an offspring that would be really similar but wouldn't need the pollination. Unfortunately for me, we got 3 inches of rain yesterday with additional rain the day before. So the weather has been horrible for growing figs. I did move this onto my sunroom, but it was so incredibly hot and humid in there, I don't know how well this is going to turn out. So this is the fig right here. You can see it does look very similar to Meteorito, except it has a little bit of mold in the eye because it's been so just disgusting. So that right there is what our Meteorito cross looks like. It looks like a melon fig. It is not nice and red like the mother, unfortunately, but we will try it anyway. Very good flavor. It's not a complex flavor. It's just very sweet. It kind of tastes like a cantaloupe with some honey dripped on it. So, not really the best environment for ripening this fig, unfortunately. I am going to pick the other Meteorito offspring. And unfortunately, this is definitely not ripe, but I am happy to say this looks a lot more like the actual Meteorito. This is a nice and dark color, and I think this is going to wind up being a common fig. But just like the other one, it has a really light interior, not a dark red interior like the pollinated Meteorito. Maybe that's just an effect of pollination. This is not going to taste good because it has not ripened properly. It's actually better than the fig I just had because it hasn't been so damaged by the humidity. So these 2 varieties have been tagged and labeled PF for Parthenocarpic female. Now let's try the Del San Juan Gran crosses. For whatever reason, the genetics of the Del San Juan Gran seem to be imparting a precociousness to the fig. So again, this ripened in the rain, so this is probably going to be a not so good fig. So it appears this fig has the makings of a strawberry fig, but due to the rainfall, it has a little bit of oxidation on the bottom. So I'm going to cut that not so good spot out and give that a try. There is the makings of a very good fig in there. It tastes a lot like Smith. That will be a very good strawberry fig one day. I'm really excited to try this White Madeira #1 cross. White Madeira #1 is one of my absolute favorite figs on the face of the earth. And even though this ripened in the rain, it has a drop of honey forming in the eye. So if I could make a, well, that one right there, it has a little bit of mold in the eye, unfortunately. But if it were possible to make a more rain-resistant white Madeira #1, that would be a top-tier fig. So let's cut into this and see what we have. And again, the wet weather is just wreaking havoc on these figs. You can tell the interior should be a lot darker than that, but it's just not because of all the rainfall. But let's taste it anyway. Again, there is a quality fig in there somewhere, but it is so washed out from all the rain. It's just really a shame that I didn't get better weather to do this. And then there is the other fig right there that is a little bit molded over. This one should be overripe. Ooh. Ooh, this fig would be phenomenal if it weren't for the rain. There's so much sweetness in there that is just washed out and diluted from the rainfall. And unfortunately, I won't be able to try this this Gigantina fig right here because it is just way too underripe. It would just be full of sap, so I can't really eat that one, unfortunately. So now all 10 figs have been appropriately marked up on the container and also tagged with a PF label. And you can see all 10 of them in all of their glory right now. I am just absolutely blown away by how successful this experiment has been already. But I'm going to take you over to the rest of my fig trees so you can see the other things I have growing on. Those 10 figs are not the only trees that have fruited thus far. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more trees that have borne fruit so far. So that means I have 14 figs that have set fruit this year overall. So 14 out of 42 fig trees have borne fruit after 3 complete years. So to answer that question, how long does it take for a seed-grown fig tree to bear fruit? Well, after 3 entire years, there's about a 1 in 3 chance that your tree will fruit for you. Well, what I don't quite understand yet in the experiment is how every single one of the fig trees that have ripened or produced fruit so far have been a female fig. You would think it would be 50% male, 50% female, and half of these trees should be male. So the only way I can really explain this is, I guess female trees are just faster to become sexually mature than male fig trees. I have no other explanation than that. The chances of flipping a coin and having it land on heads 10 to 14 times in a row is infinitesimally small, so there must be a biological reason why this is happening. But the upside is that we know for a fact that it's pretty easy to actually breed good quality figs. Even though we had terrible conditions to ripen these figs, all of them were pretty good despite the washed out flavor and high water content. So all of these are going to be maintained, and then I'm going to slowly up pot them and take better care of them to judge their fruit more intensely in the future. So this breeding experiment is far from over. We've entered the fruiting phase. Now we have to wait for them to add a few years and develop good quality fruit, because fruit trees do not produce anywhere near their best fruit right away. They produce better and better fruit as they age. So at this point, I'm not going to name any fig trees. I'm not going to release any fig trees to the community to propagate, because I don't have any proof that these are all that good yet and worth sharing. I just know that there is a lot of potential here. So I'm going to continue this experiment and release periodic updates, but hopefully this will give you a lot to look forward to. So here we are, only 3 full years into this fig breeding experiment, and we have already produced 10 guaranteed Parthenocarpic female figs that have unbelievable potential for high quality, and we have at least 4 more waiting on deck. Now, I'm not going to keep waiting and filming those figs because they look like they are a little ways off. They are probably a later season fig, so at this point I'm just going to let them go and document them personally, and I'll probably provide some type of update on them on a separate video later in the season. But what is absolutely unbelievable is the amount of success that we have had to date. It goes to show you that if you carefully select the parents, if you have a good quality father and a top quality mother, it is pretty easy to breed a pretty good tasting fig. So this whole thing that there's only a 1 in 100 chance that the fig tree you're going to get is going to yield good fruit, that is nonsense. Every single one of these figs have at least good fruit, and I think the majority of them are going to have an upper level quality of fruit. There may be even a couple top tier candidates hiding in here somewhere. somewhere. So everybody, I sure hope you have enjoyed the results of this experiment so far. This has so far exceeded my wildest dreams. I did not think that this would go as well as it has been. So please make sure you stick around, follow this experiment. If you're new to the experiment, check out the playlist down in the video description and watch all of the videos to see how we've gotten this far. It has been absolutely incredible. So everybody, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please ring that notification bell so you're notified when I release more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the items that I use in real life in my garden, I have them all linked down in the video description in my Amazon storefront link. So expand the video description, click on the Amazon link, and you'll see everything I use in real life. And while you're down there, please check out my spread shop for custom merch if you want to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video. All right, we are trying out Dale's new toy from his monthly subscription toy box. All right, Dale, let's go! Oh boy. Dale, your zoomies aren't as long as they used to be. Oh, he found a squeaker. Oh, he found the squeaker. He's never going to give it up now. Oh, here we go. We're playing keep away. Well, folks, I don't think I'm ever getting this toy back. I really like having all 10 fingers on my hands.